I like to do a lot of big question discussions, and so we're going to start with this one. What is the single most important difference between being successful in high school and being successful in college? I have an answer. I don't think it's necessarily the right answer. It's just one that I think works really well for me and is important. But before I share it, I want to hear some other answers. Who's got an idea for, because you've experienced both now, right? You had an idea, and I'm sorry, I forgot your name.
Izzy.
Izzy, thank you.
Mine kind of has to do a little bit with his. I think it's more about independence, you know, because like he kind of said, in high school you have to actually legally go, and you know you have to be there all day, and
Yes.
you know you go home, your parents tell you to do your homework, whatnot. But here, I mean, it's your choice whether you go to class or not. Hopefully you do, and you kind of just have to take everything upon yourself to do it.
Yes, that's great. I like that one a lot. Most of your previous education was, in fact, legally compulsory. You had to be there, and there was an institution in place, truant officers and whatnot, to require you to come and inflict punishments if you didn't. Here, yeah, there's a possible grade penalty for not coming to class, but you applied to come to ISU, you were offered a spot at ISU, and you said you were coming to ISU, so now the assumption is you're going to self-motivate and show up and do great things. So I like that one a lot. Anybody else have another one? All right, so those are all great answers, and I'm not saying the answer I'm about to show you is in any way better. It's just another one for us to think about. Successful high school students, their job much of the time is to provide correct answers, like on standardized tests and things like that. Okay? Successful college students, in my experience, their key activity is asking good questions. Taking that active role to go out and get what they need out of the college experience by asking for it, or even demanding it. Now, by good question, I don't necessarily mean a really deep question, or even a well-formed one. A question like, what day is the quiz, can be a good question. You know, you need that information. A question that's sort of half-formed, you can't even get to the point where you say the question mark in the sentence, but there's something you need help with, can be a good question. A good question doesn't have to sound smart. A stupid question can be a very good, fruitful, productive question. By good here, I mean, does it do good for you? Does it do good for the class? Not, is it a way of demonstrating to the room how brainy you are? So this is my guiding principle for this space is, don't hesitate to ask a question, because if you want to ask it, it's probably a good one. All right, we're going to do an activity now. So here is my Frank's casket. I made it out of foam board and photocopies. And inside here, we're going to are these lovely little things that we're going to play with now. So each participant, which is all of you hopefully, is going to get at least one. We're a little short of people, so you might get 2 cards. And on the card is 2 or 3 elements about a single letter in the Anglo-Saxon alphabet that you saw on one of the slides last time. Now, to understand the letter, you have to put together more than those 2 or 3. So what you need to do is find the other people in the room who have elements for your same letter. And the way you do that is, here's one of the cards. It has 2 things on it. What place this particular letter or rune has in the Anglo-Saxon alphabet, and this symbol. There's at least one card in this deck that has at least one of these on there as well, so you can match them. If you put together a complete set, you're suddenly standing among 4 or 5 people, and you should introduce yourselves, because you're going to be spending 16 weeks together talking Brit-Lit. You should get to know each other. So part of this is simple social, getting to know some of the other students in the class. So I'm going to give you, so here's the simple thing. Everybody get up and find your group and introduce yourselves. How are we doing? Does anybody have a complete set? All right. So Maybe, that's okay. Maybe is totally okay. So the next step is to share the complete set with the rest of the class. I have written over here the form that should appear in the board. So I've taken the 8th letter of the Anglo-Saxon alphabet. Number 8, this is what it looks like when the Anglo-Saxons wrote it. And you can come and take a look at it. I gave the name of it, then what it meant here. So you need to deputize somebody to go to either of our sets of boards and write this information about your set. It's called the Futhorc in the Anglo-Saxon alphabet because that's how you spell out the first 6 letters. So the first letter is F. And this is how they write it. It looks a little bit like our F, but it's, slightly crooked. So every letter has its own name, which has its own meaning. So in the Anglo-Saxon mind, a letter just isn't an arbitrary letter. Like the letter D or J doesn't necessarily come with a meaning attached to it. Though you can use the letter C to mean the sea if you're texting somebody or something like that, right? So the first letter of the Anglo-Saxon alphabet, Theo, means wealth. And so you could start to ask yourself, well, why is wealth the first thing on the Anglo-Saxon mind? All right, so now I supplied you all the elements for that little game we just played, right? But an important point I want to make is that was a good simulation of what's going to happen in this space on a regular basis. Everybody had a piece of knowledge to contribute to the puzzle. You assembled that, and you reported back to the rest of us that knowledge. That is my model of how learning happens. Everybody brings something to the table. The fact that I was able to answer a question, maybe not even very well, about the relationship between the Roman alphabet and the Anglo-Saxon is only an indication that in some areas I'm a couple of steps ahead of you in learning this stuff. But it doesn't mean that I'm the all-seeing, all-knowing expert in this space. The expectation for all the future class meetings is that, and we're going to talk about stuff today, is that you're bringing something to the table. And that we're going to talk about it in small groups sometimes, we're going to talk about it as a whole sometimes, and we're going to construct new knowledge here. It's not just about the 4 instructors in this class imparting what we know. It's about us all getting together, putting our heads together, and having new ideas about this stuff. So, for Tuesday, we're looking at Riddle 26 and Wonders of the East. They're available on RegGNet. They're both short. The Wonders of the East text is like 6 pages long, and the riddle is like 1. Do yourself a favor, read them both twice, since they're short. Now, here's the thing I want to make sure everybody's aware of. Next week, Thursday, we are beginning with Beowulf. So, if you haven't gotten one yet, you need one of these. And you need this particular translation. And the assignment for Thursday next week is the first 838 lines of this poem. So, if I was in your position, I'd knock out the Tuesday reading as soon as humanly possible so that I could get started on this prior to Tuesday of next week. One of the things we're going to do in here a lot is simply talk out questions. Good questions are more important than correct answers. So what I'm tasking everybody to do, what I'm challenging you to do, is as you read this stuff and as you take notes, bring at least 3 questions to class, but that will serve as our basic material for discussion in class. Any questions about that?